Moiji, it is live now. You can start.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। या वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल द व्यूअर्स। आज हमारे बीच सीए प्रकाश सिन्हा जी हैं। ही विल टेक अस टू द रीसेंट जुडिशियल डेवलपमेंट्स ऑन द इनकम टैक्स। वैसे तो द लाइव टॉपिक, द हॉट टॉपिक जो आज की डेट में चल रहा है, दैट इज़ फेसलेस असेसमेंट। बट स्टिल with time, I think the importance of all these judicial pronouncements will increase day by day. And I hope all the viewers would benefit from the session. And over to Sumit ji.
Thank you, Moiji, and welcome once again, Prakash Sinha ji, our learned professional and a very known speaker in the field of income tax. So, जैसा कि मोहित जी ने बताया, आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे वेरियस केस लॉ इन लाइट ऑफ वेरियस जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट विच हैज बीन डिसाइडेड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. सो एंड हमारे आज के पैनलिस्ट सीएम जैन जी और मोहित जी इज विद अस फॉर द फर्दर प्रोसीडिंग्स. If you have any questions, you can post on the case-to-case basis so that Prakash sir can elaborate and light us on the topic. So over to you, Prakash sir, and we are sharing the presentation with the help of CM.
Thank you, Sumit ji. Thank you, Mohit ji, and thank you, Jan Sahab. It is indeed our privilege that we are discussing some of the important case law. Why I choose this subject here? Because as an advocate, as a chartered accountant, the Friday evening and Saturday is always where we try to capture what are the development that has taken place in the last week or the last to last week. There are two types of development. One is the statutory development, that is administrative development, that is some new circular comes or some new law comes here. Then we try to discuss on that weekend here. And one is that part, the judicial development here. Judicial development is that we try to understand what are the legal development that has taken place in the last week. But believe me, whether it was a corona or not corona, the development which is taking place nowadays, even though many courts are not working on the full time, but lot of judgment has come, and few judgment of the Supreme Court, particularly Honorable Justice Dinesh Maheshwari and Khanvil Kausar, has given long judgment, each going to 60 pages and 70 pages. Hats off to them, how they have tried to write all this judgment here, particularly due to this corona issues here, how the repunctuation has been done, and how they have captured everything here. So we will start with the few case laws here. We have the compilation of some High Court cases and some Supreme Court cases. Jansab, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us start with the one very small case, and after that we will go to the next subsequent cases here. And I will request all the viewer to just participate in the discussion, because if we say that the case law from one-sided, it should not be a one-way traffic, it should be a both-way traffic here. And whatever their views are there, they can very well share their views, and they can just discuss that what are the important development that has taken place. And particularly, I will like to start with the Section 68 matter, that is Basir Ahmad. Basir Ahmad case is very unique case. Why I'm trying to say unique case here? If we see the section 68, 69, and 69A, 69B, 69C, and D, we will find that in all the cases here, the primary onus is on the SSE. The SSE is required to produce the detail of the creditors or detail of the expenditures. When we talk about the section 68, we know that SSE has to produce the document related to identity of the creditors, the genuinity of the transactions, and the creditworthiness of the creditors. These are the things that we generally try to establish before the AO. And if it is established before the AO, if we will produce all the three documents here, if the AO is satisfied, then it is very good. If the AO is not satisfied, then he has to make an inquiry. And if he has to make an inquiry here, or if he is not satisfied and he wants to make the addition here, he has to form an opinion why my submission is not up to the mark here, or whether is there anything which has not been submitted to the AO. In the case of Basir Ahmad, there was Basir Ahmad was engaged in the business of the trading of the marble, and this case was that Basir Ahmad, during the section 68, during the assessment stage, couldn't produce the detail of the some credit amount. Credit was 2,26,000, very small, but it was related to the 15 creditors here. The AO asked the document, but Basir Ahmad could not provide all the document related to the who are the identity of the creditors, and particularly the genuineness of the transactions here. And he could not produce also the creditworthiness, whether this supplier of the marble was were the correct person or not person, identifiable or not. So the AO has made the addition under section 68. The matter went to the CIT. From the CIT, although there were some various other additions, CIT gave the relief on account of that addition. But as per the section 68 addition was there, on that account, there was no relief to the SSE at the CIT level. The matter tabled to the ITAT. ITAT also didn't give any relief to the SSE. At the High Court level also the SSE didn't get any relief from the High Court here, and it was that, and it came out that it is a bogus entry here, and the High Court confirmed the addition of all the three, like AO, CIT, and ITAT appeal. Now the matter is before the Supreme Court. In the Supreme Court, one of the important questions that the SSE raises here, that SSE raises that if my assessment was under 144 and my books of account was rejected here, how the AO can consider that same books of account for the purpose of taking the entry of section 68 here. It was one of the conditions here. It was one of the contention, and the revenue has raised so many contention that 68 has not been proved, SSE has not done anything, blah blah blah. Now the matter is before the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court asked here, luckily he asked that other records of the SSE here. In the other records, when the Supreme Court asks for the other records, he finds out that pursuant to the ITAT order, the AO has started the penalty proceeding under 271C. And thereafter, when the penalty proceeding was started, the penalty order was made. The SSE has filed an appeal against that penalty order. The quantum order is still with the Supreme Court. Against the penalty order, AO has filed the appeal before the Supreme Court, before the CIT level. The CIT level he was able to produce all the credit detail for which the addition was made under section 68, and SSC has also produced the affidavits of the creditors also. Based on the document that was produced before the CIT level and the affidavit which was produced before the CIT level, CIT was satisfied that there is no concealment of income or there is no inadequate furnishing of the particulars of income, and therefore has given the order in favor of the SSC. Further, this order was not appealed by the revenue. In fact, revenue has already refunded the amount of around 96,000 rupees, which they have collected on account of from the SSC on account of penalty. Now, when the Supreme Court goes through all the record, Supreme Court says the SSC has produced all the details, not in the quantum assessment, but in the penalty assessment and the penalty proceeding before the CIT. And the CIT is not satisfied that there is no default on account of there is no concealment of income or furnishing of the inadequate particulars of income. And further, this order of the CIT has achieved the finality because the department has considered that order, has passed the final order, and also refunded the penalty which was taken here. Under these circumstances, the Supreme Court says that there cannot be any addition under section 68 because the SSC has provided all the details related to whatever the detail was required in the penalty proceeding, and the penalty proceeding was on account of the assessment order here, and because pursuant to the same assessment order, the penalty proceeding was started, and when in the penalty proceeding, the SSC has complied all the document, has satisfied all the document, then there cannot be an issue of the non-furnishing of the document under section 68 here, and therefore the SSC appeal was allowed at the Supreme Court level. Now, the point that I'm trying to make here, when we see that section 68 addition, even if SSC is able to prove the genuinity of the transaction, the credit worthiness and identity of the creditors, not only at the quantum level, but at the Supreme Court level, then in the penalty proceeding, then there is a chances that the SSC can get the relief here. However, I am also mindful of the fact that how the High Court has not looked into this aspect rather than Supreme Court looking into this aspect here. So Supreme Court has confirmed that the onus that was with the SSC, he has satisfied the onus, and therefore there cannot be an addition under section 68 here. With this, my presentation on the first case, that is Basir Ahmad, is complete here. If there are any question on the Basir Ahmad, I would like to take it here. जैन साहब,
हाँ सर।
हेलो,
हेलो, हाँ जी, आवाज आ रही है सर?
यस सर, आई एम गेटिंग योर।
हाँ जी, हाँ सर। बेसिकली बशीर अहमद केस में पेनल्टी में जो डॉक्यूमेंट कंसीडर किए गए, तो वो बेसिकली डॉक्यूमेंट जो हैं, वो क्या कहते हैं, फाइनल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उन डॉक्यूमेंट को कंसीडर किया, हाई कोर्ट ने कंसीडर क्यों नहीं किया सर?
सर, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उस डॉक्यूमेंट को कंसीडर नहीं किया है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो सीआईटी अपील के ऑर्डर है उसको कंसीडर किया है, और इस केस में
सीआईटी
और इस केस में सीआईटी अपील के पास जो, और जब अपील हुई है सीआईटी अपील के पास, तो एसएससी ने 46A का एप्लीकेशन लगाया है, और 46A का एप्लीकेशन लगाने के बाद पेनाल्टी प्रोसीडिंग में सारे डॉक्यूमेंट उसने दिए हैं, इंक्लूडिंग विद द एफिडेविट, एंड देयर इज ए कंप्लीट satisfaction of the CIT that there is no concealment of the income, or there is no inadequate furnishing of the particulars of the income. And Supreme Court has taken that base, because when the assessment was made and pursuant to that assessment only the penalty was started there. So when the SSC has submitted all the document at the penalty level, so why it is not should be considered that the document SSC has complied the 68 compliance under the quantum order also. So that the Supreme Court has considered. And the another point that is Supreme Court has considered, that the CIT order has taken the finality. The department has not appealed against that part, and furthermore, the department has also refunded the penalty on account of this one. So Supreme Court has considered 3 points. First, the order of the CIT appeal in the penalty proceedings, where he has given the complete satisfaction that okay, the SSC has furnished and the SSC has furnished all the documents required for this purpose, and there is no concealment of the income. Second part, the order of the CIT appeal has not been appealed against that. The revenue has not appealed against that order of the CIT appeal. And third, the CIT department has accepted the order of the CIT appeal and given the refund to the penalty to the SSC.
Sir,
So
we can say the honest documents should be provided in any platform, then be considered in further proceeding.
like sir, just if you try to read the section 68, section 68 says that the SSC, it is the onus of the SSC to provide the document related to the creditworthiness, genuinity and the identity of the creditors here. Now the situation arises, if you are not able to provide all these documents at the AO level, or due to any reason you are not able to provide at the AO level, the matter goes to the CIT level. The CIT, now you have the option under section, if the CIT level, you can provide these documents under Rule 46 by citing that why you have not able to provide these documents at the AO level, and the CIT by way of additional evidence can accept all these documents here. If we accept all these documents here, it is the duty of the CIT to remand all these documents to the AO and gets the AO remand report also. When the CIT has exercised that 46A power and he has got all the document and the AO was satisfied that all the document which was required for the purpose of the penalty proceeding, and this penalty proceeding was pursuant to the 68 edition itself here, and the CIT appeal gives a complete finding that there is no concealment of income or there is no inadequate particulars of income, then the Supreme Court has considered that order here. Then the situation also arises if the SSC is not able to provide at the CIT level. What will happen? It provides with the ITT level. However, he can provide at the IT level, but chances are very less the ITT should accept. But in this case, ITT should accept this part here and remand the matter back to the AO for the purpose of reconsideration or the purpose of consideration of the evidence here.
Evidence.
So, sir, but when we say that in case of Anwar Ali also, 76 ITR 696, it was held that the penalty proceedings and assessment proceedings are both separate and distinct from each other.
Yes.
Then now could have the department said the same thing at the Supreme Court level, that even though the amount has been refunded, it does not mean that the assessment proceedings were invalid to that extent, because since both
there are two. Why I am saying that there are two reasons here. First of all, in this case, the penalty was initiated on account of 271C due to the non-compliance of the section 68 part here. First of all, that we have to consider that part. Second part is that if you go to the Evidence Act here, the evidence which was required to furnish in the penalty proceeding, as well as the evidence which was required to furnish in the 68 quantum edition was the same.
Same.
And
Okay.
and was the same here. And the same edition, considering the same evidences here, the CIT appeal has already given a complete finding that there was no concealment of the income.
Concealment.
Under this, I appreciate the proceedings are different, but the evidence can be the same. If the evidence has to be,
Evidence can be the same.
and when the penalty was initiated due to the same edition which
Same.
was there, yes, the same edition. Yeah. So Supreme Court was very correct here by giving the relief to the SSC here. Jan sir, can we proceed to the any next case, or is there any question that I would like to answer?
I think we should proceed, sir.
Okay. Now the next question is Sri Chaudhary Transport. Shall we start with the Sri Chaudhary Transport?
Yes, sir.
Yes. The Sri Chaudhary Transport, the fact is very unique here, and we understand that a lot of chartered accountant does like this one. The fact is that the SSC Sri Chaudhary Transport has got a contract of the transportation contract from Aditya Birla for the purpose of transportation of cements from the Aditya Birla factory at Rajasthan to different part of the country. But SSC does not have any own truck here. How he will do the transportation? So he hires the trucks of the others, and after that, when he hires the trucks of the others here, he pays to the truck owner, and after that, and through that transportation, and through them, the transportation activity takes place. The SSC, although he is paying more than 20,000 rupees but he has a habitual practice of making the payment in cash, and when he makes the payment in cash, he does not deduct the TPS. When the matter goes, and the one more important part is that all the cash entry is there, and cash entry has done bifurcating into the less than 20,000. Somewhat it has broken into less than 20,000. Sometimes it is on the same day, sometime on the consequent day, like this type of entry has been made. As we know that whenever we go to the audit part here, and we also advise the client that अगर कोई एंट्री 20,000 से कैश का तो भैया ऐसा करो, इसको 2 भाग में कर दो, 2 वॉइस बना दो. ये जनरल प्रैक्टिस है, कोई बात नहीं. उनके सीए ने भी ऐसा किया होगा, और उसके बाद जो है मैटर एओ के पास चला गया. अब एओ का कहना है कि भैया ये जो आपने सीमेंट की आपने जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिया आपने डिफरेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से, सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से, और सभी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का बिल्टी सेपरेट है. तो ये जब बिल्टी सेपरेट है तो मैं सभी को एक सेपरेट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मानूंगा, और उसके ऊपर 194C अप्लाई होना चाहिए, बिकॉज ये ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. और अगर 194C अप्लाई होता है तो आपको उसके ऊपर से टीडीएस डिडक्ट करना चाहिए था, और आपने टीडीएस डिडक्ट नहीं किया तो आप यू आर द नॉन कंप्लायंस ऑफ 194C, और 201 में भी आप एसएससी इन डिफॉल्ट हो गए. उसके बाद सिचुएशन ये आती है कि सिंस आपने टीडीएस डिडक्ट नहीं किया तो आपके जो एक्सपेंसेस है अराउंड 1,57,000 जिसके ऊपर आपने एक्सपेंसेस किया, उसके ऊपर जो है आपको वो एक्सपेंसेस आपको अलाउ नहीं होगा. ये मैटर एओ ने इस तरह से निकाला. सीआईटी अपील ने भी इसको कंफर्म कर दिया, और आईटीएटी ने भी इसको कंफर्म कर दिया. कहीं कोई रिलीफ नहीं मिला. जब आईटीएटी ने कंफर्म कर दिया, उसको मैटर ये हाईकोर्ट में गया, और हाईकोर्ट में भी जो है एसएससी के पास कोई रिलीफ नहीं मिला है. अब नाउ दिस मैटर इज बिफोर द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट में इस मैटर को कैसे देखा गया है? मेरा इस मैटर में देखने का 2 तरीका है. मैं थोड़ा सा पहले ही बता दूं. मैं खास करके अगर आप लोगों ने देखा होगा जो रिसेंट जजमेंट आ रहे हैं खानविलकर सर की और दिनेश महेश्वरी की, उनके जजमेंट में it seems that they have writing the judgment from de novo, फ्रॉम ए वो स्टार्ट करते हैं ऐसे ट्रांजेक्शन से, फैक्ट से, एओ लेवल से, और एओ लेवल के बाद से वो पूरे डिटेल में जाते हैं. However, if you try to read the judgment of the Nariman, you will find that Nariman will like to start pick up the points जहां पर हाई कोर्ट ने छोड़ा है और जहां से हाई कोर्ट का थ्रेड को वो पकड़ेगा. और if he has started some perversity is there in the high court order, then he will pick up, otherwise he will say sorry dismiss you. Nariman is very straightforward है. So इस केसेस में अगर आप देखेंगे जो आउटकम आएगा, there are 4 क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉ, एंड 4 क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉ, चारों क्वेश्चन जो है ये डिफरेंट फोरम में ये डिस्कस किया जा चुका है. और आपको इस बात की जानकारी होनी चाहिए कि हाईकोर्ट ने इसके ऊपर बहुत ही समरली ऑर्डर पास किया. हाईकोर्ट ने कोई डिटेल ऑर्डर नहीं पास किया जितना कि 61 पेज का सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऑर्डर पास किया. अब हाईकोर्ट के पास क्या इशू होता है, आई एम ट्राइंग टू लिंक विद अ डिफरेंट पार्ट है. व्हेन वी रीच टू द हाईकोर्ट का जो अपील है वो 260A का मैटर है. 260A का मैटर में इट इज एसक्यूएल, सब्सटेंशियल क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉ के ऊपर है. If High Court is looking into this matter, High Court should start from the ITT level कि ITT ने कहां पर छोड़ा है और ITT के ऑर्डर में कुछ परवर्सिटी है या कोई न्यू क्वेश्चन ऑफ सबस्टेंशियल क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉ है, then he should start, the High Court should start. High Court should not start with the de novo assessment. de novo आप वो रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं और वो शुरू से ऐसा लग रहा है कि आप असेसमेंट ऑर्डर, सीआईटी का ऑर्डर को फिर से रिड्राफ्ट कर रहे हैं. सो हाई कोर्ट ने यहाँ पर समरली ऑर्डर पास किया है 1 पेजर और 2 पेजर, बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको 61 और पेज में ऑर्डर पास किया है. इट इज वन ऑफ द पॉइंट विच आई वांटेड टू हाईलाइट हियर, बिकॉज if you see this judgment here, there are a lot of issues that has been raised in this judgment here, and which has a very adverse impact on the other SSC also. Other SSC में कैसे impact हुआ उसको जरा देखते हैं हम लोग. मेरे ख्याल से जो इसमें मेरे पास अभी मैं पूरी स्लाइड को नहीं देख पा रहा हूँ ड्यू टू सम प्रॉब्लम है. इसमें सबसे पहले ये डिस्कस किया गया है कि whether it is a separate contract for the 194C or not. There are 4 question of law that has been discussed here. That whether this is a question of law, 4 question of law है. पहला question of law है whether this payment to the transporter that will be covered as a contract pursuant to which the payment has been released. Supreme Court ने इसको ये justify किया है कि when you are entering in a contract with the transportation, it is a contract between you and the transporter. You cannot say that I am an agent of the other transporter. There was a Delhi High Court case. I feel that was a Sadanand Singh case. I feel that has also been discussed here. In the Delhi High Court case, there was a similar issue that was arised here. The transporter was an agent for the other transporter. So therefore, the issue was arised whether I am an agent or whether I am a principal to principal contract. The Supreme Court, the High Court, Delhi High Court has come to conclusion that you are an agent, and so therefore there was no liability to deduct the tax here. But this fact of the case was something different. Here the Supreme Court says that as there is a separate contract between SSC and the Aditya Birla. So Aditya Birla, you have the Aditya Birla and the SSC has a different contract, and the SSC the other transporter has a different contract. There is no privity of contract between the actual transporter and the Aditya Birla. So therefore, first of all, Sri Chaudhary transporter cannot be considered as an agent. And so therefore, the relief which was given in the Sadanand Singh case was not available to the SSC. The second point was that when the Supreme Court decides that each of the LR that has been raised by the transporter are a separate contract itself, and when it is a separate contract, any payment in pursuance of that part will be lead to the 194C deduction, 194C applicability. So the first point was that on the issue of the whether it is a 194C will applicable or not, the Supreme Court finding is that since it is a separate contract for each of them and the payment is more than the required limit under 194C, therefore it will liable to be deduct the TDS under 194C. Now the second issue arises here, whether the payment has been done in cash or not in cash, it is a different matter. Whether the payment has been done in different dates here, that is not going to help the SSC. In fact, the Supreme Court has finding that it was intentionally SSC has bifurcated all this amount in order to avoid the TDS liability. So it was an intentional part here. And the same fact is coming from the CIT appeal and SSA order also. So Supreme Court finding is that 194C is applicable. The second part that is coming here, Supreme Court says that if there is a default under 194C, then the section 201 will trigger. If there is a 201 will trigger here, then there is a consequences under the law. And one consequence is that there can be some compounding issue, there can be some prosecution, and there are other consequences also. Section 40 AIA are the consequential provision, and if a SSC has not complied the provision of the chapter 70B, then the provision of the 40 AI will trigger, and the amount on which the TTS has not been deducted, he will liable to be, that amount will be disallowed. The third argument which the SSC has raised, and that is a very good argument here. Argument was that in the case of whether the 40 AIA, which has come from the Finance Bill 2004, and we should start from the finance assessment year 2005-2006, or it should start from the 2006-2007. Why the SSC was arguing this case, this ground, why the argument was taken here? Because the Finance Act 2004 got the assent from the President on the 10th of September 2004. So the SSC contention was that 40 AIA came from the 10th of September 2004. So it should not apply for the assessment year 2005-2006, but it should apply from the 2006-2007. The Supreme Court has gone into the detail of that part here, and Supreme Court says the law which was applicable on the first day of the assessment year, that will apply to the complete previous year, and this 40 AIA was a valid law as on the 1st April 2005. So therefore, it has a complete application on the previous year 2004-2005. It has to apply for the assessment year 2005-2006 and not on the 2006-2007. The SSC has relied on the Calcutta High Court judgment in the Pew Ghosh. The Supreme Court has disapproved the judgment of the Pew Ghosh here. That one of the other argument which the SSC has taken here, SSC argument was that SSC, if at all, if there is disallowances under the 40 AIA, there should be only 30% that should be disallowed, not the 100% of the expenses. Why the SSC is taken that ground here? SSC has taken the ground because if you go to the legislative development of the 40 AIA, 40 AIA, the law came from the 1st April 2004. After that, there was an amendment in 2008. After that, there was a further amendment in 2010. And after that, there is another amendment in 2014. So all these three amendments has come into the 40 AIA. 2008 amendment was there so that if the SSC is not able to pay the TDS within the 31st March, he can pay the TDS or he can deposit the TDS up to the date of filing of the return. And if he is filing, if he is paying the TDS, if he depositing the TDS up to the date of the return, so it will consider the SSC has complied the 40IA provision and 40I provision and 40I provision, and therefore no expenses should be disallowed. So therefore there was this amendment was in the 2008. This was a beneficial amendment for the SSC. So therefore it was taken as a retrospective amendment here. There was another amendment 2010. By this 2008 amendment, there was some problem in the 2008 amendment here due to some language. So there was a 2010 another amendment came here, where the Calcutta High Court has held that 2010 amendment is a curative amendment, and therefore it should also be allowed with a retrospective date. However, SSC argued that 2014 amendment, which says that only 30% of the expenses should be disallowed, the Supreme Court was of the view that no, it is a substantial amendment. Although it is beneficial for the SSC, it is a substantial amendment, and the substantial amendment cannot be a retrospective effect. It has to be a prospective effect, and therefore the claim of the SSC was denied, or in fact the relief which was asking by the SSC was denied on this ground also. So all the three ground went against the SSC. The fourth ground was that SSC was talking about the prejudiced part here, because you know that income is taxed on the net income. Income tax is charged on the net income, not on the gross income. If the SSC, if the SSC is taxed on the gross income, this means he also taxed on the income part, expenditure part also. The SSC has taken that it is prejudicial to the SSC here. The Supreme Court has stated that it was not prejudicial to the SSC. The 40A, this disallowances has come due to non-compliance of the 194C and 40AIA. And further, that Supreme Court has said if the SSC would have honest here, he would have deposited the TDS in the subsequent year so that he could have got the relief in the next year here. But since the SSC has not done this part, this shows that SSC was not so tax compliant. SSC was rude here. Another portion was that the Supreme Court says out of 1.90 crores here of the expenditure, only 1.31 crore was disallowed. 57 lakh rupees was not disallowed because that was compliance of the 194C, because the expenditure was less than 20,000 rupees. Under this situation, it cannot be contended that the law was prejudicial to the SSC here. So on all the four ground, the conclusion of the Supreme Court was in negative, and furthermore, Supreme Court also imposed some cost on the SSC. So with this, my discussion on the Sri Chaudhary's transportation is over. Anything any question that I would like to take here? I miss because I'm not able to see my slides here because my screen is not so wide here. So, however, I have replied all the point on the Sri Chaudhary here. Yes, sir.
मोहित
Haji
जी।
sir, so although you have beautifully explained and all
हाँ
the
जी।
parts there, including I understand that the same view as earlier given by the Supreme Court in Palam gas has been fortified in the judgment,
Look,
and similarly the Punjab and Haryana High Court in PMS
I will tell you,
diesels.
sir. In fact, you have rightly raised the point here. In Palam gas, the issue was on the 40A whether, because the 40A talks about the payable here. The SSC argument, one of the argument, the SSC
Paid
argument
versus
was
payable.
that it should be only on the amount on the payable as on 31st March 2005 that should be considered for the purpose of disallowances on the 40A.
There, the judgment of Merlin Shipping case, special
Yes.
bench. That was the same case, na, where paid versus payable
Yes.
issue was there. It was put to rest in
Yeah.
Palam gas.
So all this Palam gas was the concluding part here, and Palam gas has given the final judgment that the term payable is only with the nature of the payment. It has nothing to do with the amount of that part which is outstanding on the 31st March. So Palam gas, the Supreme Court has confirmed the Palam gas should be applicable here.
Sir, but I have a small query regarding this issue. There is a circular 715 1992, that very old circular, which is applicable to all these contract cases. Now, that circular says that each contract or each bill or each receipt will be treated as a separate contract. That has not been discussed here in the judgment anyway. Circular number 715. If I'm not wrong.
No, it has been discussed, sir. It has been discussed, and
Okay.
the Supreme Court, the High Court has, the AO has found that each bilty is separate. Like each bilty is separate. Each bilty is a contract per se, and if a contract, each bilty payment is like 25,000, what the SSC has done 15,000 plus 10,000 rupees. So in both the side, he was not willing to deduct the TDS here. So the AO point of view was that each bilty is a separate contract. If it is a contract of 25,000 rupees, it is more than 20,000 rupees, then the SSC should have deducted the tax. What the SSC has done, the bilty was the same, but he has prepared two vouchers, even on the same date, or even on the same date or some different date, in order to prove that the payment was less than 20,000 rupees, so that the TDS liability should not arise here. So it was a intentionally bifurcation of the amount.
That is why the Supreme Court has questioned the bona fides of the SSC.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We can go ahead.
Jain sir, any question that you?
हाँ सर, बेसिकली एक क्वेश्चन है सर कि ये जो जजमेंट है जिसमें 30% वाला क्लॉज है वो प्रोस्पेक्टिवली क्यों नहीं लिया गया सर, बेनिफिट टू असेसी?
Hello. Yes sir, can you repeat your question?
हाँ सर, बेसिकली जो 30% ऑफ डिसअलाउंस, हाँ सर, 30% और डिसअलाउंस से रिलेटेड है सर, कि ये प्रोस्पेक्टिवली क्यों नहीं लिया गया?
इसको प्रोस्पेक्टिव ही लिया गया सर, रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव नहीं लिया गया।
हाँ, रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली क्यों नहीं लिया गया
सर? ये जो जजमेंट है, ये जो अमेंडमेंट है, इट इज अ सब्सटेंशियल अमेंडमेंट हियर। व्हाई आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द, पहले अगर देखेंगे उसमें लिखा हुआ था एनी सम, लिखा हुआ था जो ओरिजिनल लॉ था उसमें, एनी सम ऑफ दैट पार्ट है। उसके बाद वो एनी सम से चेंज हो गया 30% ऑफ द एक्सपेंडिचर हो गया। सो द so it is a substantial, it is a elementary law की जो ये है law, that if there is a substantial amendment, the substantial law cannot be read retrospectively, only it can be read prospectively here, even though it is beneficial, it is not a curative sir.
क्यूरेटिव, ठीक है सर। अब नेक्स्ट जजमेंट सर नालवा इन्वेस्टमेंट, दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट।
नालवा इन्वेस्टमेंट बहुत ही अच्छा जजमेंट है सर।
हाँ सर,
नालवा में क्या हुआ है कि एसएससी वाज ए ग्रुप कंपनी ऑफ जिंदल, और जिंदल के ग्रुप कंपनी था। उसके बाद जो है एसएससी के पास जिंदल की ग्रुप कंपनी का शेयर था, However, जिस कंपनी का शेयर था वो कंपनी दूसरे जिंदल ग्रुप के दूसरे कंपनी में मर्ज हो गई। ये फैक्ट आपको इससे मिल रहा होगा, आपको जो है आपको पीपीटी से फैक्ट मिल जाएगा। When this company got merged with the जिंदल की ग्रुप दूसरी कंपनी में मर्ज हो गई, the issue arise here whether there is an income in the hands of the shareholder, or if there is any income in the hands of the shareholder, how it should be taxed. Like if you are holding a share of some company PQR or ABC, और अगर आप किसी एक कंपनी का शेयर आप होल्ड करते हैं और वो कंपनी किसी दूसरे कंपनी में मर्ज हो जाती है या एमलगमेट हो जाती है, यहाँ पर वो कंपनी एमलगमेट हो गई है, और वो एमलगमेशन के बाद आपको जो है उस कंपनी का जो ट्रांसफरी कंपनी है, जो रिजल्टेंट कंपनी है, उसका आपको शेयर मिलता है। सो वेदर दैट जो शेयर आपके पास मिला, वेदर दैट विल बी शेयर जो उससे कारण वेदर देयर इज एनी इनकम, और इफ देयर इज एन इनकम और नॉट, वेदर हाउ विल बी ट्रीटमेंट अंडर द कैपिटल गेन. So the crux of that part where here the same has happened here. SSC has stated that he was holding the shares in the form of the stock in trade. SSC वो शेयर जो होल्ड कर रहा था in the form of stock in trade. Now if the SSC holds the share in the form of stock in trade, what will happen here? इसमें थोड़ा सा एक और भी चीज है। जब मैटर ये एओ के पास था तो एओ ने उसके ऊपर एडिशन कर दिया, अंडर 28 में एडिशन किया है ऐसे एओ ने ये बोला है कि जो आपके जो शेयर हैं, जो शेयर आपने रिलिंक्विश किया है और आपका जो शेयर एक्सटिंग्विश हो गया है, और जो आपको मार्केट वैल्यू ऑफ द शेयर जो आपको आज मिला है जिंदल की शेयर, whatever the difference is there, that will be your treated as a income under 28. CIT अपील ने उस ऑर्डर को कंफर्म कर दिया है। Now the matter has arisen before the ITAT, and ITAT में मैटर ये था whether this is if my investment is a capital asset, then I can get the relief of 47(7). If my if my investment is in the nature of a stock in trade, also I can get the relief under 28, because there is no notional income there is no real income that has been generated, because FCC ने उस शेयर को सेल नहीं किया है. And the point that was raised by the SSC Council, that since I have not sold the share and there is no sale of the share and no transfer of the share, so therefore there should not be any gain on account of that part here, and there cannot be any notional tax on that part here. So the issue was that before the High Court, Delhi High Court, whether first of all ITAT ने ये डिसाइड नहीं किया कि whether it is a capital gain, whether it is a capital asset or it is a stock in trade. और ITAT ने इसलिए डिसाइड नहीं किया, ITAT ने अपने पैरा 7 में लिखा हुआ कि it is not material for me to decide, because in both the cases it is not taxable. In both the cases it is not taxable. Why? If it is capital assets, 47(7) will apply, so it will not be taxable in the shareholder's hand. If it is stock in trade, so there is no real income, so therefore it will not be taxed also under 28. The matter has the SSC, the department has raised the issue before the High Court, and High Court may first ground that he has taken that एक मिनट सर, sorry, High Court में the first ground was taken, since the ITAT has not decided the basic question whether the asset is a capital asset or a stock in trade, so therefore this matter should be remanded back to the ITAT for the purpose of such determination. Second point that the revenue has taken, if the holding of the share is in the form of the capital asset, although there is no finding of by the SSC, by the ITAT, but suppose that if it is a capital asset, then the SSC is entitled to get the benefit of the 47(7), and therefore there is no dispute at all. However, if the stock has been kept as a stock in trade, then the ITAT should have followed the orient trading, and through the orient trading, there should be an income in the hand of the SSC, because the SSC has got another share for the share which he has relinquished, and there is an exchange here. And what the exchange is there, then the fair market value of the new share or the incoming share minus the book value of the outgoing share should be considered as the income under 28. The SSC argued that, first of all, SSC argument is based on the Rasiklal Maniklal, and the ITT has heavily dependent upon the Rasiklal Maniklal cases. SSC argued that it is neither a exchange or neither a relinquishment of the asset here or extinguishment of the asset here, which the Supreme Court has denied that part here in the case of the Grace College here. And in the case of the Grace College, it was observed that when there is amalgamation of the two companies, the share got extinguished in that part here. And when the share got extinguished, the extinguishment of the shares, extinguishment of the capital asset is covered under section 2 suppose 47, that is the term transfer. And therefore, the section 47 has come, and due to 47, it will not be taxed in the hands of the shareholder. So these are the, as far as the capital asset is there is no fight here. There is no problem here. But issue arises here, if the shares are held as a stock in trade. The High Court has not considered, High Court was not agreeable to the SSC argument that there is no real income theory, that unless there is a sale of the share, there cannot be income here. High Court, in fact, has relied on the orient trading here. And in the case of the orient trading here, it was also argued that there can be, if there is an incoming shares, or if the SSC gets in exchange of the shares, if SSC gets the share of the resultant company, then there is an income. And what the income is there, the market value of the resultant company minus the book value of the investment, book value of the stock in trade. So there is a income in the form of section 28, and it should be taxed here. High Court has also, I think that High Court has also relied on one of the judgment. That judgment was the Grass College is there, orient trading was there. Just can you change the slide, sir? The next slide.
Okay, sir.
Next slide here.
Yes.
Nalva, next slide.
Okay, sir. 1 minute, sir. Yes.
Yeah, there was another case was there in the case of Rasiklal Maniklal. I have told you this. Next slide.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So there was this case was there in the applicable district is the Chenroop that argued by the SSC, Chenroop Sampatram, and another case was there. ITT was matter with the estate of that was the Hindustan Livers versus Estate of Maharashtra. That is the judgment in the case of the Company Act here, and the High Court was of the view that when there is a amalgamation takes place, there is a assenting shareholders and whether dissenting shareholders. If the shareholder does not give the consent to the amalgamation, they get the fair market value or the cash equivalent to that part here. And in the case of the assenting shareholder, they get the fair market value of the shares equivalent to the fair market value of the share of the resultant company. So therefore, there is a income that is being generated under 28 here, and on account of this one, the High Court has held that there is an income in the hands of the shareholders, and based on this one, High Court has remanded the matter back to the AO, back to the ITAT to determine whether it is a capital asset or the stock in trade. So High Court has concluded its arguments in both the sides here, capital asset as well as the stock in trade. On the capital asset, there is no problem at all, and the revenue has no problem because it is exempted under 47(7). On the stock in trade, the High Court has given the finding that it will be treated as an income, and with this finding, High Court has remanded the matter back to the ITAT to decide, because it is a factual issue, to decide whether the holding of the SSE was in the form of the stock in trade or capital asset. And according the law can be applied. With this, my discussion on the NALWA is over, sir.
So there is one query regarding this. As far as 2007 circular of CBDT regarding keeping two kinds of buckets, one as an investment and another as a trading. Couldn't it have been applied here as well? The same circular CBDT, the SSE could keep two kinds of investments or two kinds of buckets rather. One for the purpose of investment and another one which he traded.
So that is, sir, up to the ITT. Let the ITT should decide on this matter, whether it is a capital asset or revenue asset. High Court will not go to decide because it is a question of fact, sir. High Court has decided only the substantial question of law.
Right, sir.
Yes, Jain sir.
हाँ जी सर, न्यू केस लॉ लेते हैं सर, रामनाथ गोविंद।
रामनाथ,
हाँ, रामनाथ एंड कंपनी।
रामनाथ एंड कंपनी का केस बहुत ही अच्छा केस है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक कैसे पहुंचा है ये देखिए
सर, बट अगेंस्ट एसएससी है ना, दिस इज ऑल द प्रिंसिपल्स।
वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं अगेंस्ट है, बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कैसे लॉ को डिस्कस किया है, आई एम इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट। द एसएससी वाज a person who was providing the marine services to the foreign buyers who were purchasing the marine products. You can say that some fish-related products here, or you can say that other marine products like lobsters and like other seafoods here. The SSC was required to locate the supplier and supply the seafood to the overseas buyer, and overseas buyer used to pay him. So whatever the CIF price was there, plus some percentage on account of that part as a commission there. However, the SSC claimed for the 93-94 assessment year 93-94, SSC claimed that his income is exempted under section 80O. Why the claim was there? Because 80O, if a person who is supplying the services from India to outside India, that services should be not be taxable. The income on account of that will not be taxable there. SSC claimed on account of that as his services is covered under the 80O, and therefore that should not be taxed in India. However, the AO started the investigation at the first stage itself. And the AO investigation is that AO has asked the detail of the contracts. And he has asked the two contracts. One is with the Oppo Fishing and one under is the Gelajura. These two contract SSC AO has asked. And what the AO has observed that From the contract, we find out that SSC was just mere a procurement agent. Whatever the services is providing is on account of the agency's services as an agent, incidental to the agent here. And its remuneration was also based on the CIF value of the that part here. CIF value plus 1% or 0.5% or blah. And the most important part that it was observed that in case the seafood which was supplied was the quality of the seafood was not satisfactory, then the supplier will not give any amount here, including the amount of the commission also. This means the AO was of the finding that the services which was the Ramnath SSC was providing was not a services of the technical know-how or a knowledge or professional services. It was just a services of the agency services which cannot be considered as a, under the ATO. Further, the services was provided in India only. Services was not provided from India, and the foreign party was not actually utilizing the services of Mr. Ramnath. He was in fact there. The foreign company was in fact interested in the product there. When the foreign company gets the product here, based on the product certain like seafoods here, based on the seafoods, certain percentage of the was given to the as a commission to the SSE. The matter went up to the matter went to the CIT level. CIT allowed in favor of SSE. CIT says that whatever the services that we're providing, it should be a specialized services, and therefore, if these services are there, SSE should be allowed the ATO relief. When the matter goes to the ITAT level, ITAT also gives the ITAT also dismiss the relief to the appeal of the revenue and gives the order in favor of the SSE. ITAT was of the view that services by the SSC was a specialized technical services, and therefore it should be covered under the ATO, and the services which were performed in India has no material effect onto this part, and therefore ATO relief should be available here. The matter travels to the High Court level. In the High Court goes into the complete detail of the contract, and the High Court observes that the role of the SSE is just like a procurement agent. It is just a agency part that he is doing, and since he is a contract, a procurement agent, so therefore his services should not be covered under the ATO. So the High Court denies the relief of the ATO to the SSE. Now the matter is before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says that. What does the Supreme Court say? Can you go to the next slide, sir? Supreme Court, the question before the determination is that whether the SSE offered SSE services of the services offered by the SSE will be covered under the ATO. SSE argument is that first argument SSE says the object and purpose of ATO is to give the benefit to the exporter and who are earning the foreign exchange. High Court heavily relied on the definition of the words rather than on the text of the statute, and therefore, and after that, SSE also relied on the case of the baby marine products 290 ITR 323 to argue that the exemption incentives provisions that should be interpreted in the liberal sense, or it should be broad sense here. And after that, SSE relied on the JP Boda case 223 ITR 271 and the EPWD Costa case also, and the circular number 700. So these are the four arguments which the SSE has raised. Revenue argument is the next line, sir. Yes, revenue argument. What is the revenue? Revenue says that okay, revenue relies on the High Court order. We relied on the mainly High Court order. Object and purpose. Now here the legal part comes here. The object and purpose, the revenue also relies on the object and purpose of the ATO and ATHSC. And the baby marine product case, which was cited by the SSC in its defense, was not applicable because the ATHSC case was on the because the baby marine product case was based on the ATHSC, and that was for the purpose of the different purpose here. The different purpose there. Purpose was there whether the export services whether the export premium should be included in the business turnover or not here. And after that, High Court has relied on the BL Percy case that was there and Thomas Korean case here. And High Court was of the point that JP Boda case is not applicable in this case here. Next slide, sir. Now, in this case, Supreme Court has discussed various provision of the in Chapter 6A. And the Chapter 6A, he has discussed the provision of the ATHSC and ATO also. Earlier, this provision was 85C. Before ATO came, this provision was ATO. This provision was 85C. And there are a lot of circular has come, and there is a lot of legislative development has taken place in this case. First of all, the Supreme Court finding is that the object and purpose of the ATO and ATHSC. Supreme Court find out that the object and purpose of the ATHSC and ATO is something different. ATHSC was for the purpose of export purpose to give the incentivize the export here, whereas ATO is for the to incentivize the know-how development, the technical know-how development, and the provision of the services of the technical services from India to outside India. So the purpose of the ATHSC, which was for the incentivize the exporter here, where the purpose of the ATO was something different. That was for the purpose of incentivizing the technical know-how and that is the knowledge from the export of the knowledge from India to outside India. And another important part is that Supreme Court says, and that is a constitutional bench judgment in the case of Dilip Kumar. That was in the case of custom, there was a judgment that how to interpret the exemption provision, incentive provision, or deduction provision. ATO is an incentive provision. So wherever the incentive provision is there, when the benefit is being given, that incentive provision has to be read strictly. That has to be given a very stricto sensu. That has to be given a very strict interpretation should be given to that section here. Once you are into the section here, then the broad interpretation can be given here. So it was a Dilip Kumar case here. Supreme Court has relied on the Dilip Kumar case, and in the Dilip Kumar, Supreme Court has upheld the case of the wood papers here. Another point which was there, another point that was discussed in the wood papers as well as the Dilip Kumar, that in case there is an ambiguity in the provision of the law, earlier it was there that the benefit of the ambiguity would be given to the SSC. But the Supreme Court Constitutional Bench, they changed the law, says that no, if there is any ambiguity in the provisions, the benefit of that should be given to the SSC, but it should be given to the revenue. So the first point of that, how to understand, how to interpret the exemption provision, how to interpret the deduction provision, how to interpret the incentive provision. It is Dilip Kumar case here, Supreme Court Constitutional Bench here, and that judgment has to be followed for the purpose of strict interpretation of that provision here. Once you are crossed the threshold or the touchstone has been passed, after that the benefit can be given in a liberal way. But as far as the threshold is there, threshold has to be complied in a stricto sensu sense. In a stricto sense. These are the final few, and the Supreme Court comes that ATO is essentially incentive provision that should not be applied. That cannot be applied in this case. And there was another judgment was Abhiram case, there where the SSC has argued that Supreme High Court was too strict on the definition of the word, but and he cited that this judgment of the Abhiram, this one Abhiram was there in the Abhiram Singh case was there in the Supreme Court, but that judgment was on the People Representation Act here, so that judgment was not applicable in this case, and Supreme and the court has says that JB Boda case is also not applicable here. With this finding, my discussion on the Ramnath is also over, sir.
Sir, well, I think a new era has started, maybe due to this judgment, because earlier the beneficial provisions they were which were earlier used to be interpreted in favor of the SSE, but now a strict interpretation will be given. But sir, I differ at one point, that although the constitutional bench judgment of Dilip Kumar and company has been followed, which was the customs case as referred by you, but subsequently also another judgment of Arham Softronics was also rendered by the Supreme Court, which had discussed the Dilip Kumar and company, but it was in favor of the SSE. And although you must be aware of that all the vegetable products and the Bajaj Tempo case, which were earlier used to be interpreted, that all the exemption provisions are to be interpreted liberally in favor of the SSE if any ambiguity is there. So what is the way forward, sir?
Look, Bajaj Tempo case was on the ATHSC, first of all. And the Bajaj Tempo case, the matter was not this matter here. Vegetable product case was something different case here. I will tell you that the constitutional bench judgment earlier it is that this judgment was applicable only on the customs matters here. But with this judgment has also applicable on the income tax matter statute, taxing statute. And if you read the GPC books on the interpretation of the statute, that says that the incentive provisions or the deduction provision, wherever it is a beneficial to the SSC provision is there, that should be applied stricto sensu. Means if the SSC is eligible for that benefit, only that case the benefit should be given to the SSC. In the case of the ambiguity, the benefit that was there earlier, that should not be given to the SSC. And this constitutional bench judgment has followed the parlay, has overruled the Harijan Sri Gopal also. So in the case of the Dilip Kumar, all this judgment was discussed. Harijan Gopal, wood papers, all the judgment was discussed, and they have upheld the view of the wood papers in Supreme Court, and they have come to the conclusion. The constitutional bench come to the conclusion that deduction provisions, exemption provision, or incentive provision, that has to be given the strict interpretation. And in the case of the, yes, it is a remarkable departure that in the case of the doubt here, the benefit will go to the revenue, not to the SSC.
Because there are many provisions. Maybe if we take the benefit of section 54, 54F, if we read on all these benefits, one house, multiple houses, all these cases used to be implemented or used to be, the decisions used to be rendered by giving effect to the Bajaj Tempo, vegetable products and other judgments, where the beneficial provision was interpreted quite liberally. But I think only the Supreme Court can rest this judgment if any subsequent case comes up like that before the Supreme Court, and only that can be decided by the Supreme Court itself. It can be overruled only by the Supreme Court itself.
No, look, sir, there are two parts here. One is the beneficial provision, and another is something incentives which are given by the statute itself. If you want to get some incentive, you have to comply the incentive here. Beneficial provision is something different here. Why I'm talking about the beneficial provision? You have raised the issue of the 54B. 54B has two limbs here: 54B1, 54B part 2 here. So What is important that there should be a capital gain under the 54B, and the capital gain should have been used. The basic purpose is that should have been used for the another capital asset. Sometimes it happens that the SSC has not deposited the capital asset in the deposit account. However, that has been used. So if the purpose of the 54, that was the deduction, has been fulfilled here, then there is no problem at all here. But as per the whenever you go to the claim any incentive, so that incentive has to be applied for the purpose of stricto sensu. Stricto sensu means stricto sensu at the threshold, not at the at after that. Like 54B, if you have a capital gain that has arisen, or if you have a capital gain, you have to invest in the residential flat. If you have invested in the residential flat, if the majority part of the invested in the residential flat, this means you have complied the law. Now the situation arises, you have not, in some situation, we have seen you have not invested the full amount, but you have invested the 90% or 78%, not due to you, but due to some construction link payment or some other things which is not under your control. Then you can say that, yes, I have complied that part. So here the court will go also the bona fide part also. But in the case
So
of the
there are some other issues also na, connected with that. Suppose the SSE does not purchase the land in his name, or he does not, or he purchases it in some other name. Maybe some high courts have given a contradictory view rather. Oh, but I think you are right that as far as the beneficial provisions are concerned, so they are to be given strict interpretation, particularly in view of the Ramnath and Company from now onwards.
नहीं, बेसिकली बिजनेस एंड ग्रोइंग कंपनीज मींस इकोनॉमिक इन्वॉल्वमेंट जहां पर है वहां पे स्ट्रिक्ट सेंस में लेते हैं, और जनरली अदर देन बिजनेस रिलेटेड ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज के लिए वहां पे शायद लिबरल व्यू लिया गया है.
नहीं, देखिए मैं बताता हूँ, स्ट्रिक्ट सेंस लेना है थ्रेशोल्ड लेवल पर. मींस
ओके,
अगर हाउस में इन्वेस्ट करना है तो ये आपको हाउस में इन्वेस्ट करना है. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि हाउस के बदले आपने किसी शॉप में इन्वेस्ट कर दिया. सो एज पर द थ्रेशोल्ड लेवल पर टच ऑन स्टोर पर आपने स्ट्रिक्टो दैट विल बी अप्लाइड स्ट्रिक्टो सेंस. बट यस, आपने इन्वेस्ट कर दिया, बट ड्यू टू किसी रीजन से आपने उसको 75% पेमेंट किया, 85% पेमेंट किया, बाद में पेमेंट नहीं कर पा रहे, दैट हैज टू बी टेकन ए लिबरल व्यू. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एट द टच स्टोन की बात करता, और वही दिलीप कुमार गुप्ता करता है. There is no difference at the touchstone. Like suppose that you want to get the benefit of a 10AA. So 10AA says that if you have established a unit in the SEZ sector, then you will get the benefit of the 10AA. So if you don't establish the unit under the SEZ, but if you try to establish the unit on the DT area, then you will not claim you cannot claim that 10AA benefit is applicable to you. So at the touchstone, at the threshold, if you want to claim at the threshold means at the entry point. At the entry point means, yes, this means that you have complied the basic law. Now some subsequently comes here, some procedural part has not been complied, or some, like as you have mentioned that some court has given the 54B benefit even if the investment has been done in the name of the son or in the name of the wife also. Recently, we have seen that in the name of the wife, the investment, the benefit has been given. So the purpose was that the SSC, when SSC sells a flat or sells a residential apartment here, he should invest in a residential apartment here. The purpose is that here. Now the issue arises, yes, if he invested and take a case, he have invested in the residential apartment, it may happen, generally in India it happens, that I did not invest my name, but I try to invest in the name of my wife here. Generally happens here. So looking to the custom, the court gives the relief here. But try to analyze the same case where the SSC where the High Court has granted you the relief that you can invest in your wife's name, but your wife does not live with you. You have been divorced here. So what will happen in this case here?
Definitely.
So the fact will change here. The fact will change here. The fact will change because the wife does not live with you, but wife has a separate flat. Wife has not come to you, but still you have invested in the name of the wife. Then you will find that then it is not a compliance with the law. So each fact has to be interpreted in the own set of facts. Each law has to be interpreted given on the own set of facts. We cannot apply universally here.
सर एक इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट है दिलीप कुमार के केस में फाइव फाइव जज बेंच का जजमेंट है
Yes,
इसमें
sir.
टू टू इन फेवर ऑफ असेसी और 3 इन फेवर ऑफ रेवेन्यू बेसिकली एम्बिग्युइटी ऑफ द एग्जम्पशन तो बेसिकली ये जो दिलीप कुमार का केस है रामनाथ नाथ एंड कंपनी के केस में कैसे यहाँ पे इंटरप्रेटेट किया गया?
देखिए दिलीप कुमार का केस बहुत ही सिंपल केस है। तो दिलीप कुमार के केस ये बात है कि अगर आपको किसी भी स्टैट्यूट में टैक्सिंग स्टैट्यूट में कोई बेनिफिट दिया जा रहा है या कोई एग्जम्पशन दिया जा रहा है या कोई आपको इंसेंटिव दिया जा रहा है तो आप उस लॉ को कैसे इंटरप्रेट करेंगे, उस लॉ को कैसे इंटरप्रेट करेंगे और उस लॉ को इंटरप्रेट करने में अगर कोई एम्बिग्यूटी होती है तो उसकी बेनिफिट किसको देंगे। यहाँ पर ये जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये बोला हुआ है कि फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ द बेनिफिशियल प्रोविजन because here the statute is giving some benefit to you. Here the statute is giving the benefit to you. You try to understand the law. टैक्स स्टैट्यूट का काम होता है आपके ऊपर टैक्स चार्ज करना, आपके ऊपर टैक्स वो चार्जिंग प्रोविजन होता है। जो टैक्स से चार्जिंग प्रोविजन होता है वो एक ओवरऑल अप्लाई किया जाता है। बट इफ यू वांट टू मेक यू आउट फ्रॉम द चार्जिंग प्रोविजन, अगर आपको लगता है कि नहीं मुझे टैक्स से बचना है, देन यू हैव टू कंप्लाई समथिंग and which has to be stricto sensu complied here. It is to stricto sensu complied here. So what is happening here, the purpose of the law is to charge you the tax. You want to get out of the tax net. The moment you want to get out of the tax net, the condition which has been given to get out of the tax net should be stricto sensu complied here. आपको वो है. Now, here in the case of the Ramnath, why this argument has taken place here? Argument is taken place because the SSCR has argued that the ATO, the object on the purpose of the ATO was to promote the exports from India, and therefore when the promotion was there for the purpose of the export in India or to get the foreign exchange from India, in my case both the conditions are being satisfied, then the benefit should be given to me. So the SSC argument was that the object and purpose and the ATO should be read and should be applied in a broader sense and not on the strict sense. Then the Supreme Court has pointed out that look, ATO is covered under the Chapter 6A. It is an incentive provisions, incentives for the purpose of technical know-how, export of the technical know-how. You cannot claim the benefit of the ATO because you are not a person who is exporting the intellectuals, or you can say that who is into the technical. You are not exporting any technical knowledge. You are simply seeker a agent or a procurement agent, and your compensation is based on the procurement part. If you have been providing any services and these services would have not linked with the CIF value of export of the few goods, then the Supreme Court would have a bit different view. But since the Supreme Court has given the last nail on this fight here, because your compensation in this case of the Ramnath or the incentive commission was based on the CIF value of the goods, and furthermore, if the goods are not satisfied, if the goods quality of the goods was not satisfactory, then he was not entitled to get any commission here. This means it was exporting the goods only. It was not at all exporting any services here. And since he was not at all exporting any services, forget the technical know-how, the Supreme Court has come to the view that you cannot get the benefit of the ATO.
Okay.
I will tell
Just
you.
to add, in case of Dilip Kumar, sorry to interrupt you. In case you want to say something else.
No. I will just. I will just raise here. Ramnath, before claiming the ATO, they were claiming the benefit of the ATHSC, and the object and purpose of the ATHSC was something different. And he used to get because ATHSC was to promote the export and to get the foreign exchange.
It was to export oriented.
Whereas the ATO purpose was something different. When the ATHSC was this one discontinued, they shifted to the ATO
ATO.
and claimed the ATO
Oh,
benefit.
Similarly, in
oh,
case of this Dilip Kumar and company, the facts were like that. There was an exemption notification on prawn feed.
Yes.
Assassi wanted to cover the same in animal feed also.
Hmm.
That's why the Supreme Court went till that extent, and it reversed the decision, or it went in favor
yes,
of the
yes, sir.
revenue.
So we have to understand with the facts, sir.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
it's,
yes.
So I hope that
Okay.
Ramnath is finished from my side. Any question that I would like to take here, or any case law that you want to discuss, sir?
Mohit
no, sir, it's okay. Everything's clear.
okay.
Okay, sir, I think we should conclude for today.
As you
Yes,
wish,
yes,
sir.
yes. Hmm.
Hope,
Okay.
hope I am able to justify my presentation here.
Yes,
Definitely,
yes,
sir.
yes.
Definitely, sir. I
Definitely.
think all the members would have been benefited by the deliberation, and I think we will take up the balance case laws or the your presentation. We will continue maybe some other day in the coming week, and all the viewers must have been benefited by the deliberation of CA Prakash Sinha, and I thank Prakash ji to be here on who has joined us to uh, give us more knowledge in terms of latest judicial pronouncements on the income tax aspect. And I think all of these judgments would prove to be quite fruitful for all the members, for all the listeners, all the viewers in the coming time. And hope the era of faceless assessment, which has just started, it should bring more and more case laws into
Knowledge.
the picture. For that purpose, also we require to be updated with the knowledge or with the direct tax case laws. And Sinaji, we would avail your services for the
Yes,
coming
sir.
time also.
It's my pleasure, sir. I am always at the service of CASA. Okay.
Okay.
I thank
Thanks, sir.
Sinaji for organizing such a wonderful webinar. And thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.